Hey guys, welcome to Talking All Express episode 5, In Your House 1, aka In Your House Premiere. I'm Lewis, joined by Thomas and Oliver. A few facts about In Your House 1 before we begin. Obviously, it was the inaugural In Your House, it will be followed by In Your House 2, aka In Your House The Lumberjacks. It occurred on May 14th, 1995 at the County War Memorial in Syracuse, New York, drawing an audience of 7,000 and a pay-per-view buy rate of 332,000. It was made up of 6 matches with 4 dark matches, giving it a 1 hour and 40 minute runtime. On commentary, you've got the team of Vince McMahon and Doc Hendricks. The card consists of Bret Hart vs Hakushi, Razor Ramon vs Jeff Jarrett, Mabel vs Adam Bomb, Owen and Yoko vs the Smoking Guns, Bret Hart vs Jerry Lawler, and Diesel vs Sid for the world title. You guys ready to begin? Okay, right. Initial impressions of this pay-per-view.
It was funny because we've been watching a certain era of the WWF recently. This was a big, massive difference for the Attitude Era, and obviously this is more kind of the era that I grew up watching as well, and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but it kind of hit me a shock at first, the kind of cartoon nature of it.
It was, for me, it was quite a weird watch, and I still don't know whether I enjoyed it or it was a case of I was just that overawed by what I was actually watching, like the show being opened. You know, usually whenever I watch a pay-per-view, I'm expecting JR and the King, but it's Doc Hendricks and Vince McMahon, and it's like, what the...
Yeah, I was going to say that going to the 1 hour and 40 minute runtime as opposed to the 3 hour runtimes that we had with Ground Zero and Bad Blood, this feels like a real breath of fresh air. I think that's what I was trying to say. And going from, it just seemed like Bad Blood was so turgid and so nauseating and such a terrible pay-per-view that even something as okay as this just seems like, we're a real back to basics kind of approach here, probably because it is. This is just, I don't know. I know not everything can be Canadian Stampede, but compared to what we've had to sit through the last 2 weeks, this has just been a glorious wee pay-per-view.
Without sounding like your dad, it was good to watch a wrestling pay-per-view.
Aye, that makes sense, and it was funny actually because obviously it's called In Your House, and I never realised before that it's just basically a house show that they've filmed and called a pay-per-view. The way the matches ran, the way they were structured, how they ended, it was just, I don't know if you've ever been to a WWE house show, but it's different for like a Raw or a SmackDown, the way the matches are did, and that's what this reminded me, but in a good way, because it was different from what you're used to seeing. As you said, Ollie, it was a wrestling show.
If that's all it was just wrestling.
No frills.
Yeah, a little side note here. Since you showed us that logo of the NXT takeover In Your House, the logo that they're using, I've been ruthlessly trying to find one of them online for a t-shirt. I think I'll make such because that's as close as we're going to get to an In Your House t-shirt, and I've been really looking to getting one. Right, the opening package is nothing like as cringeworthy as I thought it was going to be. You get the big fight atmosphere with Diesel and Sid at the start, and you also get the kind of the hometown hero thing with Bret, even though he's Canadian. They're really painting Hakushi as the kind of the big foreign heel. You do get the admittedly quite great opening package until Todd Pettengill comes in with the tonight one lucky caller and somebody's going to get a free house. Up until then, up until the Todd Pettengill stuff, it all seems to kind of work like gangbusters. What did you guys make of the opening package?
Jen Colley, I can't really remember it.
Yeah, I can't think much about it.
It was just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
The Bret Hart versus Hakushi match. I always thought Hakushi had a pretty interesting look with the body tats and the white tights and that. Was it too ahead of its time, or was it too behind its time, or whatever? What do you kind of make of Hakushi?
He feels like he'd be a fantastic ruthless aggression heel. That feels like the sort of era he fits into. Sort of this time period, this feels like big men in spandex and maybe like a tax accountant shows up. He feels a bit too a bit too intricate and a bit too ahead of his time, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. And kind of going off what you said there, it gives me this kind of indie darling vibe where you can see him at New Japan, an independent circuit, and your smart marks really rooting for him, only for him to go to WWE and being saddled with a racist gimmick.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, I remember reading about Hakushi, reading about this kind of era, and it was banned for doing one of his signature moves because Undertaker also used it when he was walking along the ropes.
Oh, shit.
Right, yeah.
It's a lot more impressive when you see Taker doing it because of the sheer size of him. But it was one of Hakushi's signature moves in Japan, and he wasn't allowed to do it.
No way.
I was going to say that retroactively after Ground Zero and Bad Blood, this feels like, Brett's getting his groove back. I know we're watching it out sequence, it's like a real, the pink and black attack is back, baby. This is, I forgot just how good 1995 was a year for Brett. I mean, all the Brett years were good, but this, to go on the opening match and tear the house down, I think this is a really underrated match, to tell you the truth.
I agree, and it's just it's a classic Brett match, plucky underdog, selling for the heel. The only thing, and you kind of touched on it in the introduction, was you get the USA chants and things, and you're like, come on, lad. I kind of forgot that WWF is like that. And Bret Hart's so proudly Canadian. We know how his character goes just 2 years from then. It's strange, but yeah, I liked the match. I quite enjoyed it.
I think it's quite weird because actually everything that comes after this, it feels like diminishing returns. It feels like you start with your 5-star match and then everything after is just filling the card. It feels like this should have closed out the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I made a little note of that. Do you think it was quite dangerous putting maybe one of your top draws out on first? I mean, that's usually the whole reason for saving the big money guys till last is, for that kind of marquee value. But do you think it's quite smart putting the top guys out there first?
I think because they had the 2 matches, they had to space them out. And because of that, having Bret Hart come out first made sense. Because you can't have him fighting like the 2 matches back to back. You need to give him that kind of space. And the way the match ended and how the story kind of developed, it built a lot of tension. So based on that, I think it made sense for Bret to come out first in this instance. But otherwise, I'd agree. But like, why wasting him here, the opening spot?
I think Bret's whole deal with putting the glasses on the little boy in the front row has to be the best babyface spot of all time. It's instantly over.
It's an instant pop for me, like the baby face coming out, because that was a thing with Cena as well. Every time he'd come out, throw his sweatbands into the crowd, throw everything into the crowd, and it's just always an instant. Well, it started as an instant pop, but yeah, every time it's always a winner for me when the face comes out, and there's some warming moment with a little kid every time. It just gets me.
I mean, who didn't want to be that kid when you were younger and you saw Bret take the sunglasses off and walk up to the barrier? Yeah. You always wanted to be him.
I was about to say I'm 27 and I want Bret Hart to put his sunglasses on.
Shunja, Hakushi's manager. I feel like a lot of the threat and mysticism of Hakushi suddenly flies out the window the minute you see that the silly manager walk out.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of why there's ideas that looks quite good in paper, but it doesn't really add much to the Hakushi character. And I get the idea you give him a mouthpiece, but Shinja didn't really seem like a good talker, did he?
He's like 5'8". Why would he need a manager?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, the match start, I was going to say the styles actually really complement one another, obviously with Bret playing the ground game and Hakushi doing a lot of the high-flying stuff. They seem to click really quite well. Bret does a lot of turnbuckle selling, like he does his usual spot where he goes chest first into the top turnbuckle, and I forgot just how good his selling was. You never really think of Bret as one of these oversellers, but when he does take a bump, it really, really means something.
Every time you see him take that bump in the turnbuckle, you genuinely think he's dead. You think he's dead. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen that bump done so well. and just the force he hits it with, and he kind of just looks so much pain. You're like, oh, honestly, he's incredible at getting sympathy for the crowd.
I think the underselling really does him a credit as well. So, like you said, when he takes a bump, he really takes a bump, and you buy into it, because most of the time, oh yeah, he gets slapped about a bit and he's fine. But when he really hits the deck, he really hits the deck.
And again, I think for this time, especially when obviously Kurt Hennig and Sean and Rick were taking some more out there bumps, I always thought Brett was a really realistic seller with his stuff. Like when he got punched, sell a punch like it was a legit punch. He wouldn't do the big fly through the air, dive and roll. But Michael PSA's shouts sayonara before Hakushi hits the diving headbutt. And I just think the connotations of sayonara with the diving headbutt and people who've used that was one of the only times during this pay-per-view where I sucked the air in through my teeth. But little unintended Benoit stuff there. Another little note here, Shinja, he looks like if Riker from Star Trek The Next Generation came out of a haunted videotape. Yeah,
I can go along with that.
It's funny to mention Doc Hendricks, very quickly. I quite like him overall, personality. I didn't like him too much in commentary here. It was trying to be
Jerry
King and Jesse Ventura merged together into one. It was like he went and looked at the book of heel commentators and just cherry picked all the best bits and tried to do it.
I think he was a fairly decent stand-in for the King. I mean, a lot of the WWF personalities at the time, I thought he was maybe one of the better choices to go on commentary. And I wish that he had actually maybe commentated one of the B shows or something like that, because I think he did have a lot of potential, just for being a kind of King number 2. No pun intended. There's a really dangerous looking spot with the reverse suplex out the ring, where Shinja, both of them land pretty ugly. And I was just saying, I mean, it was Brett that instigated that. I mean, for as much of a Brett mark as I am, and a lot of his stuff, I mean, most of his, 99% of his stuff looks pretty slick. But there was that one really ugly looking spot where I was like, how did nobody break anything? Hakushi has one of the slickest moonsaults I've ever seen. I forgot just how good it was for the time, 1995.
It's like watching silk fly through the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's another match that feels, I mean, I think I might be alone in this, but every match on this card feels pretty premature. Like it finishes about 5 minutes early. Again, Brett wins with the roll up, and he even gets the fireworks. I forgot just what it was at the time. I think it's a pretty perfect little opener. I wish it had went on just a little bit longer, but 4 out of 5 in my opinion, if we're still doing the ratings.
I'd agree with that.
I'd give it 4 as well. Obviously, we have discussed the problem and the risk of opening with your top guy, and a match like this, it feels like the role should have been reversed. This should have been the quick 5-minute match, and the one between the King and Bret Hart should have had a bit more time with it, and not the other way around. So, in retrospect, it feels quite weird that we've watched this, and then later on, he's just going to have a quick roll in the hay with Jerry Lawler.
Mm.
Right, so the match ends, and immediately we go to the WWF Superstars segment. $1.49 a minute to talk to the superstars. Made a little note of that. I can't imagine you were getting any A-listers for $1.49. I mean, it's no wonder it's Alundra Blaze, aka Medusa, on the phone. I completely forgot about Todd Pettengill having the Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction fucking haircut.
How many mullets were in this pay-per-view?
Well, I mean, interestingly enough, we go straight to the Jeff Jarrett versus Razor Ramon with the roadie and Mike Yoda. There's not one person in that match that doesn't have a mullet.
I was about to say, you could mix and match the varying styles of hairs on those lads, and you just could not get a result. I think one thing we need to start doing is taking a list of haircuts in these In Your House pay-per-views and plotting a graph as to who actually has a good haircut. Because we watched this, fifth one now?
Fifth one. Yeah.
Fifth one. I am seeing a good haircut, yeah.
Do you think this was just Vince trying to troll Doc Hendricks? He's like, right, Michael, you're going to cut your mullet, but everybody else gets to grow one.
Yeah, The only thing that's stopping Razor Ramon Scott Hall from being in my top 10 is the haircut. It was just the mullet. Up until like the back point of the neck, it was great, but unfortunately it goes on like an extra metre. You just think it could have looked so great had you just cut it when you were in the NWO or something.
Yeah, I agree. I really want to rate Scott Hall, but I just can't take him seriously.
Yeah. The Jeff Jarrett versus Razor Ramon starts, and we get the call in by the 1-2-3 Kid. This has to be some of the worst audio recording I've ever heard. I mean, it sounded like 1-2-3 Kid was trying to swallow the phone calling in on. I mean, we had problems with the StreamYard and that. Our stuff was crisp compared to. You would think that obviously they own a network, they could just go back and dub it over with like ADR and that if they're doing films. Sadly not. Right, Jeff Jarrett, taking a second generation like talent like he was at the time and giving him a neon cowboy gimmick. He was never really designed to get over, was he?
No.
Nah, I mean, even when he went to WCW and they pushed him as the top guy, and TNA, he pushed himself as the top guy. I don't know. I think it's probably unfair to blame WWF entirely for it, but to me, Jeff Jarrett was always a solid mid-carder.
An IC guy is probably very kind of.
Aye.
Yeah. He definitely has some quality photos of Vince McMahon's ass. Because I just look at him, it's like, how are you the man you are today?
I love watching him in interviews though. I mean, he just seems like a dead nice guy.
Oh, aye. And it's easy to imagine why so many guys went to TNA with maybe pay cuts and that. Because he's a very, very nice promoter. He always seems dead calm in interviews and that. It's hard to imagine a guy like Jeff Jarrett losing the head with any of the talent and that. And I think that maybe that's why TNA maybe goes to the heights it did. I forgot just how over Razor Ramon was in this match. The minute he comes out, he gets this huge fan response. Again, knowing who he was friends with backstage and that, why do you think Scott never ever got the world title put on him?
I suppose I think you had to look at obviously Diesel was champion, Shawn was champion, and he left before it was his turn, maybe.
I was going to say that his run in WWF, CAB, it wasn't long enough to give him the opportunity to wear the belt.
I forgot just how good Jarrett's selling here in this match was. I mean, we were obviously talking about Brett's realistic selling. Jeff is actually doing the kind of the big Ric Flair style silly selling, but it actually works. I forgot just how good of a worker he actually was.
I think it's the silly selling stuff works when you're the heel because you can get away with being a bit over the top. And there's a time and place for it. But you're right, Jeff Jarrett is good at that. I mean, he was making everything Razor did just look devastating. And it's easy as well because Razor Ramon, you always forget, is such a big guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was 6'8", wasn't it? Right, let's settle the score here. Who has the worst haircut in this match? The roadie, Jeff Jarrett, Razor Ramon, or Mike Chioda? I want to say the roadie.
I'm going to go with the roadie.
The Juggalo GTA 5 look.
Yeah, I'll go for the roadie as well.
Yeah, it looks like somebody was creating a custom wrestler on WWE 2K and just gave up halfway through.
Yeah, he looks like me taking the piss. Like, I'm bored, I want to create a wrestler and just make him look as odd as possible.
Yeah, some guys are just synonymous with some types of belts, like obviously Bret and Hogan, the Winged Eagle belt never looked out of place on them. Davey Boy with the European title. I feel like Razor Ramon is one of those guys that will always be synonymous with the IC title. Like, I'll always just, whenever I picture the IC title, I'll picture it on him. What do you guys think?
That's a fair point. And for me, there's always that kind of iconic image of him from WrestleMania 10, standing on top of a ladder with both the IC titles either side, hitting his pose. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he had the IC belt, and I think he was destined to get the world title if he stayed an extra year.
The Razor's Edge, where does it rank on your finisher scale of 1 to 10? I love it. I think it looks pretty brutal.
Yeah, watching that actually, to realise it's the first time I've seen that move in so long. Yeah, big fan of it.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, it looks like a finishing move, and you can tell how he does it. It can do it safely, but one wee bit of error, and that could be quite that could be bad. But yeah, it's a cracking move. I'm a fan.
Razor gets the win, but not before being attacked and subsequently saved by Just Incredible and Savio Vega. They really pulled out all the stops here, didn't they? Opinion on this match, I'm going to go maybe 2.5, 3 star. Like it's kind of close to the line, I think.
I'm going to go with 3, but quite a generous 3, maybe 3.5 even. Just I thought it was a lot of fun. You got the 2-on-1 handicap aspect of it, for lack of a better term. I think that's what the term they went and used for the time. But because the Road Dogg wasn't a proper wrestler at that time, or the Roadie, sorry, he can get away with a 2-on-1 attack and not making the two of them look too weak, because he's not supposed to be a full-time wrestler at that point. I totally forgot about Aldo Montoya in this gimmick, and I laughed when he came out. I was like, oh man, the Portuguese man of war. What was going on? But I totally forgot this was Savio's debut as well, but I liked that, and that was fun.
Right.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 as well. It wasn't an amazing match, but yeah, it was a good enjoyable match.
Right after this, we get the Sid package. Sid's pretty distinctive looking human being, the real heel of the company vibe. Why do you think both of his runs only lasted maybe 1-2 years?
I think there was a lot of backstage politics with him, wasn't there? I mean, there's not so much politics, but issues. His personality. I mean, this is the guy that did stab Arn Anderson with a pair of scissors. Kind of living up to his name there, loving the gimmick in real life. But I'm pretty sure I've heard that in podcasts before, that there was just issues with Sid. Have you heard anything, Ollie? Do you remember anything like that for Pritchard's pod or that?
No, I don't remember anything. But again, it's one of those I can completely buy into it. That yeah, he wasn't a good fit.
Right. Immediately after this, we get the Mabel versus Adam Bomb match. Truly mind-boggling that there was talks of putting the world title on Mabel this year in 1995. Because people forget I think this is one of the King of the Ring qualifiers. I might be mistaken, but he ended up winning King of the Ring that year and ended up going to the main event SummerSlam with Diesel. Frankly, staggering that this guy was going to be the face of the company at one point.
Even more staggering than that, if you had the rumours, Bischoff talks about it quite a lot. Well, I think it was Dave Meltzer went and reported that Mabel was going to be the third man in the NWO angle.
No, I have no idea about that.
It's a kind of running joke on his podcast, and if you got a T-shirt that says Mabel's the third man, and so for you to be saying, I mean, the fact that he was getting tipped to be champion at this point, I'm not surprised, considering according to the dirt sheets, he was supposed to be the Hulk Hollywood Mabel.
At no point have I ever looked at Mabel and been like, that's a solid wrestler. That's a man I want to put the strap on.
Well, to give props to Mabel, he's a lot more nimble in this match than I remember him being later in his Vistara years. He actually does an Enziguri at one point. So let's not completely throw him under the bus here. Not world champion, but I wouldn't say he was the drizzling shits. I mean, he holds his own halfway for this match.
This match kind of just appeals like I mentioned, the house show element. This is a complete house show match for me. It's like, right, throw Adam Bomb out there with Mabel, or at least it should be, but it's not, because a King of the Ring qualifier, and as you mentioned, Mabel goes on to win the fucking thing. So yeah. It's a throwaway match, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's over before it begins, really. Maybe it's best it was kept short. I don't know, maybe they didn't think Mabel could go the distance or not, but it's a real 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll form a religion off the basis of this, denying that the Mabel Adam Bomb match ever happened.
I completely forgot about Adam Bomb as a face as well. at one point during this match, he comes out and the crowd are popping for him, and there's signs up, and I'm like, really? Oh well, you learn something new every day. And I've seen this pay-per-view many times in my youth.
Well, this is Ospreay and Ricochet compared to DOA versus Los Pericos from Bad Blood last week, and this is.
It's a fair point, actually. It's a fair point.
Immediately after this, we get the Smoking Guns versus Owen and Yoko. If Yoko had just kind of stayed the same size that he was in this match, do you think he maybe would have had another couple of years left in him, or do you think the wheels were already off the bus at this point?
I think the wheels were already off the bus. I forgot how good a worker Yoko actually was. And watching this match, I really enjoyed it. And maybe I want to go back and watch some more Yoko matches from that era. I just forgot how good he actually was. It wasn't just this big lump. He was a pretty good worker.
Yeah, it was quite surprising to see him so agile in this match as well.
I've heard that Owen and Yoko must have felt like a night off for guys to work with. I mean, they're just so soft and so kind of professional and that. See if let's play fantasy booker here. If you guys were in creative at the time, would you have gave Yoko another run with the strap, or do you think his golden days was maybe behind him?
I think the raft of talent you had at the time and the raft of potential talent you had coming through, is it worth your time putting the strap on him? It feels like it'd have been a placeholder, title holder. It feels like it wouldn't have been any more that you'd say put the strap on him for, I don't know, 3-4 months until, someone like Sean is ready to take it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Literally use him as a vehicle. Like he'll take the strap and then he'll drop it pretty much soon after, just to keep the angles fresh.
Yeah.
What do you guys make of the Smoking Guns?
I didn't mind them. Again, 2 mullets in this match. The mullets make another appearance. Smoking Guns, for me, were always a fairly underrated tag team. I thought they paired up pretty well. They were a proper tag team in the way that the wrestled like a tag team would. They weren't just 2 guys flung together and try to do their own thing. I've always liked the Smoking Guns. I thought they've always been fairly kind of overlooked.
I will gladly overlook the Smoking Guns because every time I think of the Smoking Guns or Billy Gunn, I think of Badass Billy Gunn and Mr. Ass.
I thought you were going to say Bart Gunn and the Brawl for All. I thought you were going to say that time he got knocked out by Butterbean. And
no, I'll give him that one. It's very much by the by, but every time I just see the Smoking Guns, I just hear, I'm an ass man.
I thought you were going to say it just reminds you of Sonny, but Sonny's era during the Smoking Guns was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And it's over. Owen and Yoko get the win. Again, none of the matches on this card seem to be dragging on. This really feels like a breeze compared to last week. I'm going to go 3 out of 5. I think they really held their own in this kind of match.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'd give it 2.5, 3 out of 5. Quite an average match, and I think actually in comparison to some of the matches we were having to endure last week, the fact that you're getting quick 5-10 minute romps, it's actually quite refreshing. It's actually quite nice just to have a quick throw about. Someone gets the 1, 2, 3, and that's it. You get another match.
Yeah, and the crowd for this pay-per-view as well are pretty up for it. They're pretty vocal, and it's almost like they've been starved of wrestling for years, and now the WWF has finally came to their town, and not only that, they put on a pay-per-view, and the crowd just seemed really up for it, which always helps.
Important to remember, well, for me personally, is that this is a new concept. This is treading new ground. And this is pre-Monday Night Wars as well. And obviously I don't remember a world without Monday Nitro. Well, the world we live in right now, but you know what I mean? I don't remember wrestling in this embryonic stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so immediately after this, we get the Diesel interview backstage where he talks about losing his mother and that. I feel like going back, Kevin Nash, or well, to some extent Kevin Nash and the Click were always kind of mildly trying to rough up the product a little bit. Like you could feel like Kevin really wasn't happy with kind of the new generation, red, white, and blue ropes shtick where everyone's all smiles and that. I forgot actually what a good interview Kevin Nash is. Like if you ever watch any of his kind of shoots of that outside the business, he's an extremely funny human being. But again, I think a character like Diesel would have actually thrived in the Attitude Era. The truth is he just hung on and well. Then again, maybe we'd never have got the Monday Night Wars and all that. But I think maybe Diesel was maybe a bit ahead of his time, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I quite like I think Diesel gets a bad rap because people always think he's run with the belt and business was down at the time and try and kind of link the two of them like it was his fault. Good personality, good talker, had a good swagger about him. The guy just had natural charisma. Watching that as well, I forgot how handsome Kevin Nash was during this era. He just looks this big handsome bastard, and he's
call him big sexy for nothing.
Well, exactly. His promo here, he mentions his mum and stuff like that. It's really kind of out the blue in a way because it's so real but it's I think it's underrated. Diesel as a character.
I think as well. Stuff like the things Deals are doing to, rough up the product to make it a bit more edgy, whilst the character was ahead of its time, I think it's worth noting that it probably did lay the seeds for the raunchy edginess of the Attitude Era, despite the fact he didn't have much of a hand in it. I think this started to drag the company that way.
Yeah.
Right, going into the Lawler versus Bret Hart match, it just seems like there's so many pay-per-views, the 1994 and 1995, where Bret would not only have one match, but maybe even have 2 or 3 matches. He seems like the ultimate workhorse in retrospect. It's just, again, I can't emphasise just how refreshing this is after having to watch his last 2 kind of pay-per-views with the company. What's the opinion on Jerry Lawler as a worker? Again, I know the guy drew huge money in Memphis and that during the 70s and 80s and that. But what do you guys make of him?
I just think, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of get tapes off the tape traders when I was younger, and I got a lot of kind of Memphis stuff. And it was interesting watching this, and it was like Hulk Hogan coming out, the way the crowd would go for him, and we never got the same King in WWF that it was in Memphis. And for what it was in WWF and the kind of matches he had, you could tell he was kind of winding his in-ring career down, and he was just looking for and this isn't a bad thing, he was looking for easy matches where he wasn't going to get hurt. He wasn't going to take any really bad kind of bumps, and that's fine. That makes perfect sense. He worked for the kind of comic relief in his matches. I was never the biggest fan. I never went, oh god, Jerry Lawler's wrestling in this match, I must watch it. Watching WWF, but I loved his feud with Bret. I loved it. I mean, it lasted years.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, I'll always think of the King as the heel commentator and one of the faces of the company. And yeah, like you said, for watching him, it's always been the comic relief. And to that extent, I enjoy watching him wrestling. Because every time I've seen him wrestle, he'll like whip off, his commentary gear. He's already got the singlet on, and he'll just go and have a scrap with somebody. And to that extent, I really enjoy watching him wrestle. I never personally watched him wrestle in any of his Memphis stuff, but you can understand for a fact that he's called the King for a reason. But yeah, I enjoyed this match because. Well, whilst it's not the best match, it's not the best work. It's good to see him wrestle. It's an enjoyable match.
Yeah, it's a really good story to this. Obviously, Bret pretending he hurts his knee in the first match, and you're cutting to backstage during the show, and he's got the ice over it, and he's looking all upset, and then he announces if he's kidding, and he comes out and he's limping. This really overreacting comical limping, and I just totally popped for that. That's brilliant. and he's just and he's jogging he's literally jogging down, and the king just sells it so well, and I loved it when he's got the model pretending it's his mum. I thought that was hilarious. You got Vince like, that can't be his mother. It was so stupid and it was so silly, but it really worked, especially for the era, and it was just fun. It wasn't taking itself too seriously. It was a laugh.
Getting into Vince's commentary, I can't wait for all the future In Your Houses we do where we get Vince's immortal, "Here comes Ahmed Johnson." I can't wait for that.
I love Vince's commentary. I think I'm a big fan of it.
Again, it's refreshing because obviously it's one of those you look back and you only really remember Mr. McMahon, the character. So the fact just to hear him on commentary and just really going for it as well, it's fucking fantastic.
I feel like Brett and Jerry actually really click quite well, just as if not better than Brett and Hakushi. It's kind of sad that I think Brett actually mentioned in his book or something that he didn't really like working with Jerry that much because occasionally Jerry stiffed him. But no, I really felt like they had a good in-ring chemistry. I have to say, towards the end of the match when Hakushi does the run-in, it seems pretty impossible to me, based off Jerry Lawler's commentary, that any non-American, regardless of face or heel, would want to help him, knowing how passively racist he would become in commentary.
Mm.
But yeah, I have to say a real 3.5, actually 4. Maybe I will go at 4 based on this. I really like it.
I'll give it a 4 because it was a good laugh. It was enjoyable. You'll watch 1,000 better wrestling matches, but yeah, it was good. It was a sweet 5 minutes.
I was originally going to say 3, but I'll definitely say 4 based on the whole overarching story with it. I'm going to include the King's interview before it. I'm going to include Brett jogging out and stuff. I'm going to include all that. Yeah, 4 for me.
Right, immediately after this, there's the In Your House, We're Giving You a House segment. Now, 1995 has went on record as one of the worst fiscal years in company history. Who the fuck in creative was like, oh, by the way, we'll just give people a house?
Mate, I was the same. See, when I was watching this, I'm like, 95 is a lot better than people give it credit for. But I kept remembering that I had the bad financial year, and then they're giving away the house, and it's just the most bizarre thing ever. And they're phoning people up, and I'm like, who gives away a house on a wrestling pay-per-view?
I will forever go for the WWF/E trying to do a giveaway because it always goes hilariously fucking wrong. Remember?
It feels like there's a 20-minute delay from when they're actually phoning up the guy till him picking up. Like, I've been praising Todd Pettengill. I mean, that guy worked his ass off.
Do you remember? Actually, this might be a bit after or a bit before or a bit in the middle. Do you remember Mr. McMahon's $1 Million Mania?
Yes.
I think it was SummerSlam '94.
I think they did another one. Maybe around
it was in the mid 2000s, and why he did it? Because I think the ratings on Raw were really dwindling at that point, and I'm not surprised because it fucking sucked.
Well, it's good to see they fixed that.
But basically, what he'd do, he'd bring out $1 million, and he would ring someone at random, and I swear to God, it was at random. He would just ring someone, pick up, be like, yeah, it's Mr. McMahon from WWE Raw, and this fucking American guy just sat at home and be like, what's going on, man? What is this? And this was obviously live on Monday Night Raw, and I can't remember how many weeks it lasted. It might have been a week. It might have been 6 years. It felt that long, and every week he'd just get mugged off, and no one would take the money. I think they ended it with the set exploding and falling on Vince, and then $1 Million Mania just stopped happening.
I see. I thought you were talking about the one they did before this, and I think it was SummerSlam '94. The coffin full of cash.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
This is even better than the house one. They phoned people up, and they couldn't get through to anybody. They were phoning one person that was engaged, the next person, the line was disconnected, and this was legit. This wasn't even a work. They eventually got through to somebody. He's not even watching the show.
Yeah. Yeah, because they ring people up and be like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what WWE is.
Did you guys ever?
So, yeah, my favourite.
Did you guys ever watch Phone Jacker when it was on Channel 4, the K-Van Novak?
Yeah.
It's very easy to imagine Vince being like an American version of Terry Tibbs. It's just Vince McMahon, talk to me.
$1 million, talk to me. But yeah, my favourite thing the dub do is trying to give people shit because it never works.
No. But that's a strange thing. Who you phone somebody up at random and say you've won a house? Now, America's a big place.
Yeah, where is the house?
Does this guy now need to move to Florida? Does he sell it? Does he keep it as a holiday home? What's the upkeep on it? It's a strange thing to give away randomly.
I fully get the angle of in your house will give you a house because house and house, but surely they could have just been like, I don't know, we'll send fucking Diesel to your house for dinner or something and give you $10,000 instead of. Because, where is this house? Do they buy you a house in your area? Is the house at like fucking Titan Towers and you've got to come pick it up?
It was in Florida.
It's all flat pack, IKEA.
If it's Florida, I could go for that. It's.
But even dialing it back, remember, this is all pre-network. Like, why couldn't they just give out like a lifetime subscription to the WWF? Like, oh, by the way, you phone in, you win the contest, and then you'll never have to pay for another WWF pay-per-view again in your life.
Yeah, that'd work. That'd be cheaper as well.
I don't know, maybe Vince McMahon got some of the wrestlers to build the house.
Well, I'm trying to imagine, like, if my idea, like the guy phoning up his network subscriber and being like, yes, I think you'll find Vince McMahon says I can watch all of them for free. Fuck off.
Yeah, I do like the Habitat for Humanity angle. It's just like DX building a house. But obviously kayfabe's still a big thing back then, so DX just fucking knock your house down.
Aye. Kane comes and burns it down.
Yeah. It'll be like the episode of The Simpsons where Marge starts making the pretzels and like everybody starts claiming that they can get the WWF pay-per-views for free, and Vince is like, oh, put one per customer. Right, main event time. Diesel versus Sid. I could never understand, with the benefit of retrospect, going back and watching all the kind of the 95 pay-per-views, why Diesel versus Sid wasn't a bigger program. I mean, you have to remember, the main event at Mania 11 was, of course, Diesel and Shawn, with Shawn being the heel and Diesel being the babyface, which really makes no sense from a storytelling perspective. You've got the 5'9" guy as the heel and the near enough 7-foot guy as the babyface. It really feels like Diesel and Sid should have been a whole program, maybe even going up to Survivor Series or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing with this match as well, I was surprised how much I really liked it. Well, you get two big guys that size, sometimes the matches can be clunky and a bit kind of dull. I thought both of them moved really well, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. And the fact that you're seeing, obviously because Sid is so big as well, Diesel playing the sympathetic babyface really worked for the context there.
Yeah, I think for me, without putting too much behind it, the agility of these two big guys working together, it had a feel of Hogan and Warrior, that sort of two Galacticos going against each other. And yeah, they should have done more with this because it was two absolute titans battling for the top prize.
Diesel is kind of struggling like to define him, because obviously knowing what we know now about his drawing power or box office with the strap, it's like he's too big for the IC title, but he wasn't really ready for the world title at this point. What would you guys have done with Diesel if you were in creative? I would have put him in the main event, no problem, but I wouldn't have given him the belt, if that makes sense.
maybe not have it for the year. Anyway, I mean, I didn't mind Diesel as champion. Anyways. Oh, there's an ECW t-shirt in the background. The cracking t-shirt, that.
I want to get an APA t-shirt. I feel like it's a bit out there.
Yeah, definitely. Probably get one. It'd be hard to get an official one, maybe, but probably get one.
I don't think you can get an official one, but I think there's tens of thousands of bootleg ones out there.
I like Diesel as champion. I just felt like it would have been good if he had. He didn't need it though. He didn't need the belt. A guy that size, you give him the belt. How do you find adversaries for him? Really, and that's why I think his program with Brett worked really well, because we're both baby faces, and Brett can work with anybody. Let's be honest. His matches with Taker worked with Sid, for example, because of the size of them. I thought his matches with Shawn were okay as well. For the story point of view, it made sense. But yeah, you've got the biggest guy in the company, like size wise, with the belt. He should be steamrolling people for the most part.
Yeah, I'd say it's in the same sort of vein as Taker. But you don't need to put the strap on him. He's the big domineering guy. Like, maybe put the strap on him now and again, but I'd have him as the perennial adversary. The big guy, the little guy has got to overcome.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, it was always a heel at first, and then he turned face, and he kind of became one of those first guys, if not the first guy, to straddle that heel face type grey area, especially kind of at the end of '95 going into '96. People wanted to cheer him. That was the problem. People liked Diesel. They were drawn to him. They didn't want to boo him. And obviously he's a bona fide babyface, but he just he had a real connection with the crowd.
Well, what I was going to say is, I said both of these guys get huge cheers, to tell the truth. I mean, Sid is weirdly over with this crowd as well. Sid, he's always struck me as a guy that would have made a huge amount of money back in the old territory days. Like, he just looks like an old-fashioned bruiser. I think maybe and again, I know he was in the territories for obviously the kind of dwindling days, but again, like, he strikes me as a guy who, had he came in like the 60s, 70s, would have just made millions. I think Sid's best years were maybe that 92, 93 years in WCW. What do you guys make of? Well, what do you guys prefer out of his WWF run or his WCW run?
I probably prefer these 96 run to when he turned heel towards the end of the year. His feud with Shawn. I like that.
Sid's facial expressions in this match is just box office. I mean, I feel like Sid, he's doing the silly selling as well. And again, it does look a little bit out of place, but thank God he's doing it, because it feels like he's actually trying to make Diesel look every bit as much of a champion as he can. So, good guy Sid. Props to him.
Yeah, his mannerisms are excellent.
The match ends in a DQ after a run-in by, of all people, Tatanka. Bam Bam Bigelow comes in to help Diesel. I mean, I think I personally have a bit of a soft spot for this match. I'm going to go 4 out of 5.
I'll give it 4 out of 5, and just to touch on that ending there, that just screams house show, where let's throw out a random wrestler to kind of interrupt a match. Now, I think there may have been a connection between them with Ted DiBiase. Was he ever stable at that point? Maybe.
I keep forgetting about DiBiase's 95 run. Yeah. I actually forgot he was with the company at one point until recently watched Mania 11. And I think he's seen in a lot of backstage stuff. I think he was maybe working as a road agent on and off at this time.
Because I remember watching I went to a house show years ago, and I think it was Jericho and Wyatt in the main event, and Kane came out to interrupt it, and I'm like, why? There was no reason for it, but it didn't matter. It's a house show that's got its own rules.
It's one of those where it just feels like everybody getting their money worth. So you just throw everybody in the company out at the end. It doesn't matter. It's got no bearing on any storylines. Let's just throw fucking everybody out to have a scrap at the end.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's get people on TV. Let's give the crowd some people to see.
Yeah.
The ending protects Sid, protects Diesel. Everybody's happy.
I can remember going to a WCW house show, and that fucking sucked because the only good wrestler that came out was Ric Flair. So I'm all for sending out just everybody at the end of the show just to be like, yeah, I saw Bam Bam Bigelow, I saw Tatanka, it was fine.
It feels like Mania 2000 was the real high point, and let's just get fucking everybody on screen. The guys out there as we can.
Yeah.
Everybody booking. So the pay-per-view ends, and we get the WWF Saving the World TV spot from Aliens. All that kind of grittiness that was established throughout the show with the opening package just flies completely out the window here. Really terrible segment to end on.
I'm quite bad for the show's ended, and I'll just kind of like stop it before it actually finishes. And I messaged both of you in the group chat saying, don't stop after the match. Make sure watch till the end, because that advert was something else.
It's one of those where I watched it and I was like, I've wasted an hour and a half of my life. I'm never getting it back.
So what was your opinion on the pay-per-view as a whole then?
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good old-fashioned wrestling pay-per-view. I think, as we've kept referring to, it was very much a 4TV house show, so nothing really mattered. It felt like a non-canon pay-per-view, so there was no storylines. It was good. It was just people fucking wrestling, and as much as we enjoy the pomp, the storyline, the drama, and the emotion, just to actually see people going out there, having a fight, a quick fight, and then walking off, it was really enjoyable.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Right, so we get into some other news. Mike Tyson in wrestling return at AEW Double or Nothing by Neil Docking of the Mirror. I'm going to pause for reflection here, but what do you guys make of this?
I know Tyson's been posting a lot of videos of him getting back in ring shape, and he's clearly trying to promote something. But really, do we need to see Tyson at a wrestling show in 2020?
He's trying to promote the fact he's skin. My
Jesus!
Pipe bomb.
I personally think that Mike Tyson appearing at an AEW show or training for a boxing match has very little consequence at the moment. But what absolutely fucking frightens me is seeing the number 2022 and watching a bald Shawn Michaels wrestle a rickety Stone Cold Steve Austin in Saudi Arabia whilst Mike Tyson referees it.
Wow.
And like I said, I had that sleep paralysis dream where JR and the King broke into my flat. I am probably now going to have a nightmare about that match.
I think we're all going to have nightmares about that match now.
My first impression reading this article was it was literally like AEW went, what did the WWF do when they were... Oh, that's right, they brought in Tyson to promote the big pay-per-view and had one of our guys hit him, and all of a sudden the interest jumped up because, of course, there was the thing, was it Mania 13 did 250,000 pay-per-view buys, and Mania 14 did 750,000 buys. So it's like, well, surely, if we get Tyson involved, that pay-per-view is just going to skyrocket. I have to say, if they were looking to plagiarise the WWF model, which, let's be honest here, they kind of are, it's hard not to think that this is maybe a bit influenced by Mania 14. Couldn't they have got somebody like McGregor, who a couple of years ago was like the biggest thing in MMA and sporting in general? You're never going to get Michael Jordan, I get that, but had they brought in McGregor, box office would have escalated.
Obviously, you probably wouldn't be able to do it right now because of quote unquote, the owing situation due to the coronavirus. But even someone like Tyson Fury,
yeah,
like bringing in Mike Tyson for Mania 14, 13, 14, worked because he was the biggest thing on the planet at that point. He was the baddest man on the planet. Now he's a bloke in his 50s who is trying to forge another comeback because his tigers are eating fucking sand. He needs tiger food. That's all he needs. So you do need to bring in a big name superstar. I don't know if you'd agree to it, but your equivalent nowadays would be getting Anthony Joshua to show up.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a big deal to bring Tyson out at this stage. Tyson in 97, 98, as you mentioned, biggest thing on the planet. Tyson even been in the Hangover films was a big deal.
Yeah.
Tyson coming out for an AEW show. Really? That's I don't know. I mean, I know people don't like to criticise AEW and they think everything they do is just a 6-star storyline or match, but this just seems like a very bizarre thing for me.
It's one of those, because obviously wrestling is at its best when you are a kid and you think everything is fucking real. You think a dead guy and a guy who sets people on fire. Completely legit. It happens. There's going to be 8-year-old, 10-year-old kids turning to their mum and dad and being like, who's that old man? And when you look at it like that, it's absolutely pointless giving money to Mike Tyson to bring him out because he's not a draw.
I don't think so. And you still even go why the guys with Tiger King brought them out. They're doing better.
Yeah, exactly. Bring someone out that you're going to point to them and you're going to scream, "Oh my God, what's he doing there?"
They should bring out Deontay Wilder, and then obviously thanks to booking and all that, he might actually get a fucking win.
But it's like I don't know if you've watched The Last Dance.
Yes.
No,
When Rodman came out in WCW, that was a real, because Dennis Rodman at that point was one of the biggest things in the world, and when you bring the biggest thing in the world out to your show, it's like you said with McGregor. If Conor McGregor came out and laid someone clean out, everyone would turn around. Even like people like me who don't regularly watch wrestling, it would be a real fuck. I've got to see what happens with this one.
See, I remember the Tyson thing, and I was still at school at the time, and it was on. Remember that program, The Big Breakfast, that used to be on?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was on. It was a news segment for that, and it showed you the clip from Raw. Well, this is like 7:30 in the morning, getting ready for school. It showed you the clip from Raw where Tyson comes out, Austin comes out, he pushes him, then the brawl kicks off, and I'm like, what the fuck? And that was like the biggest thing ever to happen. I'm sitting watching this in the news in the UK in the morning before I go to school, and it's all anybody could talk about. Did you see Austin confronted Tyson? Because it was such a short clip it showed you, I had no idea what happened. Did they get into a fight? Did they actually scrap? You didn't know. It was in the newspapers and everything. It was in the fucking sports pages.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
I don't think this is.
No.
Right, another bit of news. Undertaker, The Last Ride, Episode 3 review, Chasing the Ghosts of Wrestling Past by Yahoo Sport. What did we make of Episode 2?
Loved it.
Yeah.
I'm just loving this. I'm just loving it.
I liked it. I didn't love it as much as I loved Episode 1. Merely because it was maybe the shock value of initially seeing that first documentary, but I didn't like this one as much as I liked Episode 1. Maybe that's the big takeaway.
To pardon the pun, I'm in for the ride though. I'm invested in it. Episode 1 again. It was a real eye opener, and I said to you boys, that soft piano version of the Undertaker's theme really pulled at me.
Yeah.
I found Episode 2 really interesting. Because I said it as a piss take, but Vince McMahon is a human man. like the raw emotion he shows when, you know, watching an Undertaker match, it really paints him in a different light. And the same as Undertaker's comebacks, at every point I'd be like, really? But watching the work he puts into it, I can let him have it. And yeah, like, well, you know, every week we say, oh, the product at the moment, you know, it's not good, it's not what it used to be. But I still know when WrestleMania's come in, and I know a few people who watch it quite regularly, I always turn around and say, well, who's Taker fighting?
Yeah.
Well, there's a few takeaways from this match. Like when the episode begins and he's in the hospital, and the doctor's talking to him, and he said, so how many surgeries have you had? And I think, you know, Michelle McCool says something to the veil of, it'd be easier if we just went over the parts of him that haven't had surgery.
Yeah.
It was a dead cinematic line. Like that was a real kind of, again, the gunslinger thing, it keeps coming back to it. It's appropriately called The Last Ride because, you know, he's kind of like this cowboy. It's almost like, I think of him as like this kind of mythical modern day, you know, the man in the black hat and all that. But yeah, there was that. And another thing I picked up on was the last episode when he's watching the match with Roman. He says, I know there's a lot of people that would just, if I came back, you know, choke slam, pin, 1, 2, 3, and then it's over. A lot of people would be happy with that. I wouldn't be happy with that. I always thought it was quite funny that juxtaposed that with this episode, where that's exactly what the John Cena match was.
Mm.
So you know he's not getting any closure at the end of episode 2, and you know they're having the backstage interview with him, and he says, I was told it was going to be 40 minutes, and then it got cut down to 5. I'm like, who the fuck told him not to go 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting regarding that match as well. I didn't know the condition he was in. This documentary's putting a lot of insight to it. Based on the match the previous year, when I watched the Cena match, I thought it was a perfect way to do it. Bring him out here. It was more a character match. It wasn't a 5-star showcase, him, Shawn Michaels type thing. It was more of a story than it was a match. It was the old gunslinger coming back to show he still got it and take down the biggest guy in the company. I mean, he squashes Cena. It's a glorified squash match.
Yeah.
My favourite bit in the match is when Cena goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle and he sits up and looks at him and Cena sells it like he's been shot.
Yeah. I love that. Like, yeah, it's one of those. The mask has completely fallen. Kayfabe isn't real. I absolutely love peering behind the curtain, but I still buy into Taker so much. Like, funnily enough, after watching Last Ride, one of his entrances got suggested to me on YouTube, and I was like, fuck, I've just... and watching The Last Ride, when Cena was walking up the ramp and the lights went out and the bell tolled, it was a proper, like, goosebumps moment for me. It just properly... It doesn't matter how old I get, how far detached I get from the product. The lights going out and the bell tolling will just cause me to fucking mark out. Like, just leave my body.
No, I'm the same. And it's funny because I watched this match on my phone on a replacement bus service from Edinburgh Airport to Glasgow about 2 in the morning because I was coming back from Bristol and my flight got cancelled. So I had to go to Edinburgh and get the bus. And I'm sitting, I had to watch it because this was a Monday night as well. So I'd already went the whole day trying to avoid spoilers. I'm sitting in the bus watching it, and I was the same when Cena's walking up the ramp. I'm going, he's going to come out at some point. And the lights go out. I'm like dead excited, and nobody in the bus cares, obviously, about fucking Taker this time in the morning. But I've seen Taker live once in 1998, and I was robbed his entrance. Because in real life, I think it was BA, whatever it was, the airline lost his luggage. So all his gear was missing. He didn't have it. So he came out. Basically, because in 1998, mind, he came out with American Badass. He came out in his street clothes.
Yeah.
And he was brawling to the ring with DX. Now, he's fighting Kane, but it's a house show, so logic doesn't need to apply here. He's brought in the ring with DX, and I didn't find out until reading reviews of the show. The story was supposed to be Taker was in the dressing room getting changed when DX attacked him. Hence why he wasn't wearing these proper clothes. So he didn't get his entrance, but you still got the end with the lights going down and the music and that. And it's a shame because you watch Taker and I keep saying, just retire. Just retire. I don't like seeing this old man botching moves. But at the same time, I'm never not going to pop for that.
Yeah, it's one of those, and looking back at the curtain, it's one of those, I can afford him doing those matches. I might not enjoy it, but I'll let him do it. I'll allow it for him. But I think there needs to be a tipping off point where it's one Mania and he actually signs a physical contract saying that this. I mean, he's 55. When did Flair have his last match?
I think Flair was 58.
Really?
59, he might have been. I think 59 in the match against Shawn.
Could he get to 60?
I don't know. I mean, I said 5 years ago, or 6 years ago actually, after the Lesnar match, that Taker was finished.
Yeah,
he's still going. The Boneyard match was perfect for me because I watched it again last night or this morning, full of whiskey. That kind of helped it. But like I said, if you can build the matches around the character, it's a big help because every year it's going to be more limited. Do you imagine?
Well, I will say that even though I don't really like movie matches, I feel like the idea that there's a match where they can go do, all right, Mark, take 2, take 3, take 4. I think that's superb for Mark as he currently is. But again, even though I didn't like this episode as much as I liked the first episode, tonight's episode was really, really promising because it's the 4 guys just shitting on the match completely from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Which I cannot wait to hear them just trash it.
So I remember watching that match, and honestly, when was it?
I think it was 2018 August.
Yeah, because I remember at that point, mentally, I was in a really bad place as well. I remember seeing that match, watching that match, and I ended up feeling much worse as a person. Because Brothers of Destruction against D-Generation X, that was like
1998. That just happened to take place in 2018.
A wet dream. It was just like, oh my god! And then Shawn Michaels is bald.
Yeah.
And Kane and Undertaker are just like really fat, and it's like,
But it's like the Undertaker Sting thing. I don't want to see it now. I never want to see Undertaker and Sting wrestle now. I would have liked to see it in 2001.
I still do.
Well,
yeah. I don't want to live in a world where that match doesn't happen. I still want to see it. And if they do a boneyard type thing to it, or they have it in Saudi Arabia, I still want to see it.
Yeah, but because of course Sting's done movie matches before, so maybe that could actually work. But I think Sting's part bobblehead now with his neck and all that, so I'm not sure if we can necessarily do it. But
get like a stunt double.
You could. But, I don't know where else you're going to find that hairline.
Anything just to make Jim Cornette's head explode. Have stunt doubles in wrestling.
God damn!
So see, you were saying about you're having nightmares now about Austin versus HBK. That match is a sleep demon nightmare. The EX one. I remember I watched it because it was on live and it was on a strange time. It was like Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was on at a weird time. I was like, fuck, am I going to get up and watch wrestling?
I was going to the pub that day, and I thought, I could watch this before I go to the pub. I really want to see it. And I was sitting in the train going out of town, just like, what the fuck did I just watch? It was like a part of my childhood died.
Yeah, it's just, you could have got my childhood pets and just, had a squash match. You could have had Lesnar just power slamming my corgi, and it still wouldn't have hurt my childhood as much.
I completely forgot my favourite tidbit about Crown Jewel 2018 was apparently there was some big battle royal with all these numerous guys, and that might have been 2017 or 2016, but I'm sure there was definitely a show where they held in Saudi Arabia and they were doing this big battle royal, and one of the Shahs or somebody that was funding it said, okay, for this big 30-man battle royal or whatever, I want Yokozuna. And somebody actually had to explain to him that Yokozuna has been dead for 18 years.
It's like that scene from The Simpsons. It's like, kids are going to want to see the original Yokozuna. I keep telling you, he's 67 years old and he's dead.
It reminded me, obviously, of Saudi Arabia in that episode where Mr. Burns starts at the casino and he's got like a little mini replica plane and he's like, Smithers, get in.
Yes. You can imagine that Saudi Arabia just saying to Vince McMahon, though, it's like, we want to see Yokozuna, but he's dead. Here's 5 million. He's still dead. Here's 10 million, but he's still dead. Here's 20 million. Right, how can we do this?
There was definitely a conversation of how can we get Yokozuna in this match.
You know, he's phoned Rikishi and went, "Are you busy?"
But because they've never really done an American performance entertainment thing like that before. I mean, you have to remember, Saudi Arabia is a country where they'll openly admit to killing journalists. Like there was the whole thing with Jamal Khashoggi last year. Like, can you imagine like the Brothers of Destruction versus the H match being really shit, and like just some Shah in his chair like whacking Phoenix and Gladiator, giving it the thumbs down and that. Like,
have you seen these? I don't know if he's the Emir or the Shah, you say, but he's always like front and center, hard cam. He's got the biggest smile on his face the entire way through these shows. He's loving it.
Well, at least one of us did. I suppose at that same juncture, if I had tens of millions of dollars, I would probably pay for Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels to have a wrestling match, and I would have a big smile on my face, be like, I made this happen.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, back in the day, we just take our wrestling figures and put them in the ring and fantasy book. This guy can do it for real.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, last little bit of news here. Dark Side of the Ring video.
In fact, sorry, I've just remembered something on that wrestling figures and fantasy bookings. I had a Stone Cold figure, and obviously this was at a point where Stone Cold didn't really wrestle anymore, so obviously I could have whoever I wanted fighting Stone Cold Steve Austin. My Stone Cold Steve Austin's head broke off, and I had to blue tack his head on. So because of Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck, I couldn't fancy book Steve Austin.
You got Austin. You got your matches. You got Austin kind of just sitting at the sidelines.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drinking beer.
I had to work out how can I use Austin with my wrestling figures and not have his head pop off.
There's the interview with Kevin Owens on Twitter and YouTube where he's talking about how, like, when he was younger, he would obviously take his action figures and all that, and obviously his favourite was Stone Cold, and he couldn't replicate the sound of the glass smashing against the wall. So what he would do he would take like this glass cup out of his cupboard and he would throw it as hard against the wall as he could to try and replicate the effect. But he did it with a plasterboard wall, so nothing smashed and it just stuck in the wall. 17 years old.
Oh man, I want some wrestling figures now.
I know. I think mine is still in my grand's loft.
Yeah. When I was packing up my stuff to come to Glasgow, I found William Regal and Paul Burchill, and it just didn't work.
Okay, a little last bit here. Dark Side of the Ring video extra, Owen Hart and his notorious ribs by Ray Fluker, bleedingcool.com. Now, obviously, I hate to end on a sad note, but did you guys catch the episode? What did you guys make of it?
My biggest takeaway from it, I've listened to a lot of podcasts over the years on the Owen Hart incident, and my biggest takeaway from it was, I can see where Martha's coming with when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd never really understood before. I could understand before, but I was always, from a selfish fan point of view, of put him in the Hall of Fame, His fans need him in the Hall of Fame, he deserves it. After watching that, I was like, no, fair play. I totally get it.
Yeah, it's one of those, looking at it, every takeaway I have from watching an Owen Hart match or, watching Dark Side of the Ring, listening to a podcast, reading a story, it is just, it's always, we talk about fantasy booking, if you were in creative, what would you do? And it's just thinking about, what could you have done with Owen Hart if he was still here? What kind of career would he have had? It feels like one of those, he could have been wrestling into the 2010s. Mm-hmm. And it's just a huge shame that he's not here.
I think one of the biggest problems for Owen Hart, from a booking point of view, Owen was an amazing heel. He was a good babyface, but he was an incredible heel, and I'd love to have seen him in the world title. If you got to the final, if he was given the world title, it would have been as a babyface. It would have been some kind of Shawn Michaels style babyface, and he would have deserved the push. But his best part was a heel.
Yeah, a few takeaways from, I think, obviously, because there's not a whole lot of stuff with Martha online, like videos on YouTube and all that, they kind of get the impression that obviously maybe she was really cold and bitter over the whole thing. I mean, she would absolutely have every reason to be. But one of the things I didn't recognise was seeing the Dark Side of the Ring Instagram page the following day. I didn't know that Martha had actually gave Vice merchandising license to go and make Owen Hart shirts, which I thought, I mean, that's not gatekeeping his legacy at all, which I was really, really amazed by. So again, Owen has went into other Hall of Fames. I think the Cauliflower Alley Club through in America, I think that he's in their Hall of Fame and that, and deservedly so. Obviously, he's never ever going to be in the WWE ever again, obviously, but we know what Vince is like. I mean, the story, I heard about it through Chris Jericho's podcast when Martha was like, "You can't sue us here, you've got to sue us here," which I was just shocked by. Vince, you can only sue us in Connecticut because then we can't get charged with punitive damages and all that. So that was shocking. But having said that, Dark Side of the Ring has been one of my favourite things to watch in recent memory. I really hope they do a season 3. Again, I don't know how much more material they've got. I think they've covered just about every scandal there's been. The only ones I can think of is the Pat Patterson kind of ring boy scandal that happened in 1992. They could do an entire episode on Sonny.
Definitely. Could do a series on Sonny.
Yeah.
The Warrior, surely must be something. There must be some stuff there.
Yeah, knowing how he held up Vince and that, and obviously it's kind of, well, I mean, the fact that he was on TV the day before he died is kind of weirdly prophetic.
I think it might be a case of they might need to go away for a while, but I think if you scratch the surface, there's probably another couple of seasons of material in there that we don't know about, and I think that's when it would get quite juicy.
I just the fact that ECW and WCW died within months of one another. I think you could do an episode on kind of the dying days of those two brands and how everyone kind of.
I was about to say, it must be quite interesting to look behind the scenes on two sinking ships as the WWE swallowed them up.
Yeah.
And seeing these guys who haven't been on television for 17, 18 years in high definition and that, and they're actually getting some exposure, on a national basis. Because again, a lot of people are watching Dark Side of the Ring. It's good to see these guys making paydays. It's good to see these guys making gains, because obviously we know in the wrestling business there's no pensions. You get paid from appearance to appearance. So it's good to see these guys getting some national exposure.
I love seeing the Sandman during the New Jack episode. I love seeing the Sandman on TV in 2020. It just looks the same. That's not to say it looks good. It's just that it looks the same as it did back in the day.
I think he looks good in the sense that you'll watch him in 1997, 2007, and 2017, and yeah, there's absolutely no discrepancy. That man was born old.
There was another interesting point in that, I can't remember. It was one of the Head Shrinkers. It was a Fatu. It was in the Jimmy Snuka episode, and he was tweeting about the episode, but he was tweeting it like a booking, like his appearance. And a lot of the guys, I think a lot of the guys kind of feel that way. They feel that they're getting booked again. They feel relevant. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you can kind of question the taste of it depending on the episode, but yeah, for the New Jack one, for example, which was a bit kind of lighter in elements, also there's a lot of kind of controversy there. It was quite good to see guys like D'Lo Brown and the Sandman kind of sharing war stories. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with the Owen Hart thing, it's one of the biggest tragedies ever in wrestling. It kind of hit me when he showed you the pictures of the ring and you see the blood smear.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Well, the segment with Jim Ross where he says Owen Hart's died and we're back in 10, 9, 8, I legitimately gasped when I heard that. I couldn't hear it. And it's good to see that, and Kevin Dunn's getting a lot of heat online and that too, because again, I don't think it was necessarily his call. I think it was Vince's call and they didn't. But yeah, no, that was a real shocking thing to see.
I think, yeah, because obviously we spoke about the whole Pillman angle and how poorly delivered that was. This was just a level above. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it stings more because for all the untimely deaths we've seen in wrestling, this feels the most preventable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that segment with the quick release when it was like 6 pounds of pressure and it just dropped off. That was the whole thing was just a complete fucking debacle.
Yeah.
The pay-per-view as well, continuing with it, and you've got like Jeff Jarrett and Deborah near tears try to play heels in a promo. And I've not watched this pay-per-view for a long time. But
I don't think I ever can bring myself to watch it, to tell you the truth.
I remember watching it at the time, and I remember with the Rock. I remember the match with the Rock, and he's doing his heel work, and he grabs the commentator's microphone. And he's like, "Oh, the Rock does this. The Rock's gonna kick your ass," but he goes, "The Rock, Owen loves you. Owen the Rock loves you," and throws it away. And he's just so a character, but you're just kind of like, "This shouldn't be happening."
I'll basically put it in like a weird sense, but imagine going to work and at 9 and at 10 your colleague dies.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the day you've got to be at work. It's just the fucking weirdest thing to imagine.
Yeah, you then need to go and work where he died.
Yeah.
The spot he died.
There was a thing I saw on Twitter where people had like shared photos from the Austin and Taker match. That obviously was the main event, and you could see Undertaker's face like numerous points just looking at the canvas, and that seeing all the blood, saying, "What the fuck happened here?" Like, it was a real disturbing thing to see. I hope they do a season 3. I would hope so. I pray so. Hopefully.
I would love to see a season.
Yeah, there's plenty. It's interesting because the first season was like 6 episodes. This one's also a lot more. This could have been 2 seasons easily. But obviously the popularity of it means they got more episodes. But yeah, they could do a season 3 easily. There's so much we don't know about.
Right, guys, I'm afraid I'm going to have to wrap up because I think my phone's on about 4% battery here. But In Your House Degeneration next week.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Nice segue.
Take care now.
Take care, lads.